What's up, lovely people? Scott, the life artist here. I've been moved to pick up the podcast mic and speak. Now, what did I want to speak about today? I wanted to speak about camaraderie. That camaraderie is king, or rather, camaraderie is queen when it comes to fulfilling relationships. What I mean is, particularly in the Western world, we have a tendency to believe that we always need to get ahead and we're always competing against each other. And yet when that happens, it turns into what is known as a dick measuring contest. Me against you, trying to get better. Proving, usually, your mother or father right or wrong, or your friends right or wrong, or society right and wrong. When in reality, no one really cares. So when you stop and think about it, do you really care what about others are doing unless it affects you? Even if they're crazy, do you really care unless it affects you physically? No, you don't. So what do I mean by camaraderie is king or queen? What I mean is life is really about relationships, and that you can't go higher than your heart. So when it comes to living your life, competition is only true in the sense, if you allow it to be true in the sense, you're only really competing against yourself. And when you stop trying to prove others wrong or right, and you're only trying to prove yourself what's right or wrong for you, and only trying to get ahead on yourself and progress for its own sake for you, then that chills you out a bit. And you realize that life isn't about trying to dominate others or get ahead or these power games. Life really is about relationships. And that one of the main reasons we get scared or spooked in life is because we've built up this callus of separation in our minds, believing we're a separate entity. And we believe as a result that other people are separate entities, We believe that others are separate entities, and this creates fear, this creates misunderstanding, when in truth, when you learn to chill out a bit and only compete with yourself, you'll soon realize that there's a lot of cool people out there, and when you feel more content and happy in yourself, you spread a light that's inviting to others, and it creates a connection, it creates that camaraderie. Because for me, that's what it's about, man. It's about team. It's about the we. It's about coming together and recognizing when you are connected. Because it's true, we are afraid of other people when we believe that we're separate. But the more you learn to relax and take stock of who you are and know that you're enough now, that fear will start to disperse. And you will recognize that in fact everyone is looking for that connection. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean with other human beings. However, that's the primary way that we connect to love. But it could be with animals, it could be with nature, it could be with rocks, it could be with the mountains, landscapes, whatever it may be. Art, music, the universe, it doesn't matter. But we're all looking for that connection. But the connection is always there. We just need to drop the boundaries of thinking that we're better or worse, because that leads to the idea of arrogance, that leads to the idea of position, that leads to the idea of hierarchy, when in fact everything is just a role. Nothing really means anything apart from love. It all kind of comes down to love, and being true to that, being true to love, being true to yourself. Now, does that mean I'm saying you shouldn't have these thoughts of being competitive in comparison? No. If you grew up in a society, no doubt they are embedded in your subconscious somewhere. But it's about becoming consciously aware that you're comparing, that you're competing against others, when it's an illusion. And recognizing that if you're willing to experiment and explore, you'll realize that life can be a lot more enjoyable if you just focus on yourself. Your mission, what you're up to, what feels comfortable and right for you, what excites you, not basing what you should do on other people's opinions. And this takes a little while to realize. It takes a little while to cognize, and it takes a little while to put into practice and get it right. But it can be done. And it's a journey. It's something I'm on at the moment. And a classic example, to give you some practical example, would be me going to the gym. Like when I used to go to the gym, I always went there headstrong that I need to perform in a certain way based on other people's templates of what a good gym goer is. But after a while, maybe after a couple of injuries or feeling exhausted, I was like, man, I'm not having any fun here anymore. Like, this kind of sucks. And so what I did, I started to become a bit of a wizard. I like to be a bit of a Dumbledore, Harry Potter reference, a bit of a Dumbledore when it comes to the gym. I started to explore it for its own sake. Yes, I still had loose goals, PBs, stuff I wanted to do, get my body in shape, blah, blah, blah. But I let go of the comparison because I realized more does not mean better. More, a lot of the time, actually means intrusiveness. It means proving too much and leads to injuries and all sorts of weird kind of issues. But if you want to slow down and just enjoy the process and stop comparing yourself, you'll have a lot better time. And that's what's happening with me at the gym at the moment. I no longer care if I'm lifting much smaller weights than the dude next to me or even the gal next to me. I'm simply doing me. And you'll be surprised when you look around, when you're having fun doing you and not trying to prove yourself to others. You'll recognize that others are kind of trapped in that loop, a lot of them. And you'll shine. You'll feel like you're winning, but you're not winning in trying to get anything or proving that you're better. You're simply winning the game of life in your own way, which is to enjoy life, right? Surely life is here to be enjoyed. And it's funny how when we compare, contrast ourselves with others and always come up short and go, I need to prove, I need to get more money, I need to get more hair, I need to get more good looks, I need more babes in my life, I need more money, I need more blah, blah, blah. We're all doing that, trying to chase a feeling. We're all trying to get a feeling, right? And what is that feeling? That feeling is feeling good, feeling whole, feeling that wellspring of youth, that wellspring of well-being in our body that tells us we're alive. That contentment, that self-love, that eagerness. But that can only really come about through removing what you're not. And that means shedding the competitiveness. Giving up the idea you're going to be this number one guy that's going to prove everyone wrong. Now, I'm not saying revenge or proving yourself are bad emotions. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying they have their limitations. You can only take it so far before you start to feel isolated, where you feel like you need to get ahead of everyone, but then you have no one to share it with. You're number one, but everyone else is number 2, 3, 4, and you've got no one to share it with. And it's a kind of ludicrous thing that we do, but it's present and it's real in our reality. So I thought I'd bring it up to kind of challenge you guys and also share my story of how I found such joy in letting go of that comparison. And don't get me wrong, it's still with me. I still get days where I feel really comparative and I compare myself. But then I realize how ludicrous it is, and that no one really cares. And isn't that humiliating? Isn't that humbling? To realize that no one really cares what you're doing. Now, maybe your parents might care, but it's their issue. It's about them. It's about their self-image. Your spouse might care, but it's about his or her self-image or them's self-image. Do you get me? We don't really care unless it's somehow going to affect us. So that should tell you something, that no one really cares. It's all about them. So make it about you in the positive sense and stand up for yourself by staying true to who you are and doing you. And in a sense, stay in your lane. Don't try to jump the gun so much and enjoy your life a little bit more by simply not trying to get ahead of who you are. Because the journey is the destination, the process is the point. And things take time to mature, things take time to cultivate. But if you're willing to run your own race, then you'll have a hell of a lot better time doing you. And here's the paradox as well. This was said in the Tao Te Ching, that the master doesn't compete with anyone. Thus, he can't be competed with. I'll let that land. But from what I can take is when you start to be yourself and start to love yourself, you start to get some originality about you. You get some flair. Things start to come back. Your personality gets more emboldened because you have nothing to lose. And you're willing to be silly. You're willing to be goofy. You're willing to be humbled. You're willing to be dumb. You're willing to be a bit arrogant sometimes, but you know it's all just a game. It doesn't really mean anything because who you are is this thing in the center, this unknowable spirit, this untouchable spirit that is just cool being it. And you'll attract people who also enjoy your energy because it inspires them to be themselves. Because can you imagine if everyone dropped the guard for a day and just said, like, I'm scared, I'm alone, I want to do this, but I'm embarrassed. I want to lift lighter weights because it feels right for me, but I think I need to prove to the guy next to me that I'm big and strong so he doesn't terminate me, so I'm going to lift bigger weights, so I'm afraid. Can you imagine if everyone spilled their guts for just a day? Man, it's crazy stuff, right? It's crazy. So it kind of shows you how crazy our society can be at times. But people who make real change, they just be themselves, man. This is the greatest change you can make, is to be that evidence of self-love. And like I said, camaraderie is queen. And I mean that in the sense that there was a great teacher I had, her name was Roxy. She has a channel called Odyssey of Ascension. And the entity that she channeled basically said that humanity is more of a sisterhood than a brotherhood. Because a brotherhood just turns into a dick measuring contest, while a sisterhood is more about the heart, it's more about the love. And isn't it more exciting when you're growing together? Now, you may be doing your thing and it may require a lot of alone time. Maybe you want to build a rocket to go out to space. It requires you just being with you a lot. I don't know. But you can never do this alone. And if you can recognize that through dropping the comparison and recognizing the value of others around you, and that they're there to cooperate with you and to help you grow and you help them grow, you'll feel a lot more expansive, a lot more let go, a lot more feeling like more people in your life feel familiar, feel family-like. And that surely is only going to make you relax and feel more inspired going forward in life, because everyone wants to connect. And the more you're willing to connect, because I've definitely had this in my own experience, the more you are willing to connect with yourself and you share and be vulnerable, because vulnerability is strength. If you're willing to be vulnerable, others will open up. The ones who don't will run away. But the ones who do, which is the vast majority of people on this planet, want to open up, will be receptive and they will share as well. Because there's nothing more meaningful than a heartfelt chat or a heartfelt connection or a heartfelt relationship. That's where the juice is in life. Everything else, the drama, don't get me wrong, I all need a bit of entertainment, a bit of drama here on planet Earth. But the drama, the emotions, like the sexiness or being cool, all that stuff will fall away, and falls away in the face of, let's say, a crisis, falls away in something real, something honest. Because when we get to our deathbeds, we're not going to think about how sexy I was. And maybe some of you are, fair enough. Maybe I will a bit, I don't know. Or how cool I was, and the way I showed that person how cool I was, and the way they liked my Instagram and I got so many likes. We're not going to care about that. What we are going to care about is the memories we create with people from a more joyful, loving, earnest, humorous, fun position. The moments we shared, the moments where we shared, where we helped, where we cared and people cared and helped for us and inspired us. That's real change. That's real memories worth treasuring. And the other stuff is needed to some extent because we're human bodies, but it will fall away. At least that's from my observation, my experience. So, yeah, man, camaraderie. Share, be willing to open up and see what happens, because when you do open up, magical things can happen, and you'll be surprised at how distorted you've been in your perception of believing that everybody is like this and like that, right? Because when you're in your ego and you're all separate and you're all arrogant, it's all just like me, and everyone's watching me and blah, blah, blah. Like, you're super paranoid and super self-conscious, and you believe everybody else is like that. But at our core, we're not. But it takes people to be a bit crazy, like myself, or be a bit loose, like myself, for you to realize that other people have the exact same potential. We're all crazy and ludicrous in our own way. And we all have the ability to shine. It's very natural, right? Like when we're kids, we've all got gifts. Someone's funny, someone's really fit and adventurous, someone's daring, someone's super sweet, someone's super witty, super intelligent. We all have these gifts. And when we're willing to share our gifts, it encourages others to share. When all those gifts are out and up on the table, that's when exciting things happen, man. Because again, it's not about how much money you have, right? Otherwise, we'd all be inspired by freaking Rothschild or someone who's got the biggest bank account in the world. But I don't see anyone particularly inspired. I mean, of course, there's going to be a couple, but in general, we get inspired by people who have heart. Someone who's got a real story. Maybe they've been through a bit of strife and they've overcome some things. Someone who's real. They're the people we look to in a crisis. They're the people we go to when we need inspiration, when we need a helping hand, when we need a conversation. So why not you be that person? This is what I'm attempting to do every day. And sometimes I fail, man. Sometimes I fail. Sometimes I just want to be by myself and maybe I'm in a foul mood, but that's okay because I'm aware of it. And the awareness brings the change. And communing and conversing with others, sharing your story, opening your heart, humbling yourself and being willing to communicate and share your love is a real key to dissolving that selfishness that we have, that fear that we have. And yeah, man, like, you can still get all your rewards. Everything your ego wants, whether you're destined for fame, money, women, status, big house, whatever it is that your ego desires in that selfish way, it will get given that. It will get given that and more. But I'm just advising you, even though I don't really like giving advice, on what really is getting you there. And that's the spirit. About all that stuff is just like a titillating bonus. But the real meat, the meat and potatoes, is the love and experiences, the joyful experiences you have in life. And some of the most predominantly awesome ones are with others. So growing together for me is new, but I'm loving it, and I encourage you to just muse on what I've just shared and see if you agree or don't agree with what I said. So I love you guys. Scott the Life Artist tuning out. Speak to you next time.